Oh, hi, Mark. So I'm going to do something today that I don't really do, and I haven't done in a very long time. I'm going to review a non-horror movie. Uh, I did this twice when the channel was starting. I reviewed Action Point. That was actually the first review. Um, I liked that movie probably a little too much for anyone's comfort, honestly. The second review was actually The New Mutants, and that's like it was advertised as kind of a superhero horror film. I don't know. It's an action movie, it's a superhero movie. New Mutants isn't really a horror film at all. But The Batman. I'm going to be reviewing The Batman because I just watched it for the third time. If you guys didn't know, I am a huge Batman fan. I have Batman curtains. And I have a Batman. Where is it? I don't even. There we go. I have a Batman soap dispenser. I don't know why I can't comprehend like pointing at things behind me. I'm not good at it. Uh, I also have a Batmobile, which you can't really see very well, but that is the 1989 Tim Burton Batmobile. And I actually have a bunch of Batmobiles, but they're not all displayed. So I'm a really big Batman fan. Batman is actually my favorite fictional character of all time, and I think it's always been that way. I mean, ever since I was a kid, as a kid I would watch I'm ashamed to say, as a real young kid, I really liked Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. Now I think Batman Forever is kind of okay, but Batman and Robin is just a terrible, terrible film. I could probably get some enjoyment going back and watching it now just because of how bad it is. And because Arnold Schwarzenegger is in it, and Arnold Schwarzenegger going, chill, or, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Probably be pretty entertaining. But, uh, other than that, that's a terrible film. But just so you know, kind of my background with the character, Batman is my favorite character of all time. And so I have seen this movie 3 times. I went to go see it twice in theaters, and I just watched it once today on HBO Max. And my opinion really has only gotten more positive of the movie as I've watched it. And I mean, the first time I watched it, it was one of my favorite movies. So I'm just going to let you know this review is going to be absolutely blowing the Batman because it, it just it makes me feel warm and giddy and fuzzy inside. Um I mean, first of all, the visuals in this movie are beautiful. The cinematography, the way Gotham looks like this really dirty, dingy, grimy, polluted place. Um, there really is a real Gotham feel to this place. But I mean, this movie opens with perfection, really. In my opinion, it really opens with perfection, where we have Ave Maria playing over someone spying on a rich person's house. And at first, I was thinking this is probably the Waynes. And I was thinking we were going to get kind of a retread of every other Batman movie ever made, where we see, Thomas and Martha Wayne being gunned down. Maybe a new interpretation of that, but I thought it was going to be something along those lines. It is not. It is Mayor Hill's house, and it's the Riddler that's spying on the house, and he breaks in, and right away this movie establishes it is not fucking around, and he clubs someone to death with a carpet tool, and it's awesome. Um, First of all, Paul Dano as the Riddler is awesome. This is probably one of my favorite Batman villain performances, period. Paul Dano as the Riddler is absolutely creepy. He is such a creepy villain, and he he does this great thing where it's as though the Riddler doesn't have like volume control, and it really makes him sound like a stark raving lunatic. The way he'll just be talking, and then every once in a while he'll start screaming, and then he'll go right back to talking. He really just seems like he doesn't have control of his emotions, and he doesn't have control of himself. All the while, obviously, he's in control somewhat because he is the Riddler, which is like a genius intellect supervillain. So, yeah, Paul Dano as the Riddler. I have no issues with that. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. You can't even tell this is Colin Farrell. Obviously, 2 trillion other reviews have already said this, that you cannot tell this is Colin Farrell, but they have said it because it's true. Yeah, he looks nothing like Colin Farrell. And he's a really amusing character. He's kind of a comic relief-esque villain. And he is an interesting one. I'm all for more Penguin in whatever Batman movies might come next. Just keep Colin Farrell as that character. Heard they're going to do a spin-off show for HBO Max. I don't really watch TV shows that much. I think they take up just a little too much time. It's a little too much. But I'm kind of interested to see it, and I actually might watch that because this is a universe, this is a world I'm very interested in. Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. So, weirdly enough, Catwoman is not a character that I'm huge on. I actually think she's a very overdone character, which is really rich coming from a guy who loves Batman and the Joker, isn't it? But I really do. I don't think Catwoman is an interesting enough character generally to justify putting her in all of these movies. I really don't. And the thing is I never really have an issue with the women who have been Catwoman. You know, I think Michelle Pfeiffer's great in her own right. I think what's her face? Anne Hathaway. I think Anne Hathaway is great in her own right. I think Halle Berry sucks, but at least as Catwoman. But I think Zoe Kravitz is great as this character, and I do think she is the best Catwoman we've had up to this time. So if you're a Catwoman fan, I'd say look forward to Zoe Kravitz. She is a definite standout, and that's coming from a guy who doesn't really like Catwoman being in his Batman movies. I get incredibly sick of it, but I gotta say, if you have to have Catwoman in a Batman movie, absolutely. This is the ideal version of that character. Robert Pattinson as Batman. Robert Pattinson, as I've taken to referring to him as. I love it. I love it. My only complaint is that sometimes he doesn't look as big as I wish he did. Like, he is, like, shirtless and pushing that table. I think he should have looked a little more muscular, but at the same time, I understand some people can't get there naturally, and I know that he turned down taking steroids for this role. He was very adamant that he wasn't going to do it, and I respect that. I respect the shit out of that. I think he's better off having not taken the steroids. That was definitely a good decision, but you know, I do wish he could have got a little bigger. That being said, other than that, I think he is a fantastic Batman. I think he's a fantastic Bruce Wayne. The thing about Batman in this universe, and this is something that I find so incredibly cool about this movie, Batman at this point, he's only 2 years into being Batman. So there's this thing where he almost, even as Bruce Wayne, he seems like he's still Batman. And I think that's something that some people might have a problem with. That's not something that I have a problem with. And the reason why is because I personally think he is early enough in his career where he is still being consumed by vengeance at this point in time. and it is his obsession. He's finding a hard time finding a balance between being Bruce Wayne and being Batman, and so he's just letting the Batman take over entirely. And I think it works. I think it works perfectly. I love that he's a recluse. I love that he's like, he is basically emo. He really is. He is big time depresso boy in this movie, and I don't dislike it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Andy Serkis as Alfred, I think for what little screen time he did have, I think he was fantastic. I look forward to seeing him in more depth in future Batman projects. I think the score in it is awesome. It's eerie, it's dark, it's haunting. I think Commissioner Gordon, what was the guy's name that plays Commissioner Gordon? I think he's probably the second best Commissioner Gordon we've had, right after Gary Oldman. I think Gary Oldman is still our best Commissioner Gordon. This guy, I don't really have a problem with it, but I can see how someone would. He has a couple of moments where he kind of speaks like this, and it's almost like he's doing like a Clint Eastwood impression. It's just kind of weird. Maybe that's the way this guy talks. I don't know. But regardless, I think he is a good Commissioner Gordon. Every Batman movie probably has like one scene in it that is meant to make you go, oh shit. Yeah. And this movie has multiple. Well, it at least has one scene that makes you go, oh shit. And like in Batman Begins, I think it's probably, there's probably a few in that one too. The one that's coming to mind right now is when he's like taking out all the guys in the shipment yard, and the guy screams, "Where are you?" And he pops down behind him and he's like, "Here." And then he goes and finds Falcone. He goes, What the hell are you?" "I'm Batman." And Batman versus Superman, it's definitely the warehouse scene where he's just kicking the crap out of everybody. This movie has a number of scenes. The I'm Vengeance scene you saw in the trailer is beautiful. It is everything I want in my life. And then there's a scene towards the end where Batman gets hit pretty hard, and he utilizes what I think is adrenaline to get him back up, and he goes crazy for a second. That scene is awesome. The only thing that bothers me, and it does bother me, is when Catwoman's talking to him and she says something about these white privileged a-holes. These white privileged assholes. I don't know why I just censored myself. That was funny. Like, I'm so well known for my image. And for me to say asshole isn't very Christ-like. And, I can't, as a child of Jesus, I can't stray from that Christ-like image that I don't have at all. But, yeah, she says all anyone cares about are these white privileged assholes or something like that. And it's so cringe. I remember in the theater, my first time hearing that line, I physically cringed, because it doesn't even roll off the tongue. Like, you could tell the script writer really wanted to include some tidbit of wokeness. I really hope that doesn't happen ever again in the Batman movies, especially these Robert Pattinson Batman movies. I think these movies have fantastic potential. I think this can become our next Dark Knight trilogy. And I really don't want it to be interfered with by woke messaging or woke lines of any kind by our Hollywood overlords. And it's a small dislike. I understand. It's the Batman is a piece of art, and, you know, little pieces of the artist are going to end up in the art. I get that. But at the same time, that line should not have made it in the script at all. It doesn't sound natural. Like, she could have said these privileged pieces of trash, but the addition of white really just didn't make any sense to me. Like I said, it did not sound natural whatsoever. But I mean, other than that, I really do think this movie is fantastic. There's not really a thing I would change about it, other than, actually, that's a lie, but I only say this because I know this thing exists now. I would have included a deleted scene that they excluded. The deleted scene is also available to watch on HBO Max, so definitely check that out after you watch the movie. I would say it's definitely worth a watch, and like I said, I do really wish that they had kept it in the movie. It kind of felt like maybe they were just excluding it to keep it under that 3-hour mark, because I mean, it's like 2 hours and 58 minutes though. Like, if I don't get that train of thought. Like, oh, we have to keep it under 3 hours, but 2 hours and 58 minutes is fine. You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's a Batman movie. Like, people wouldn't go see your Batman movie because it's 3 hours long. Avengers Endgame had the right idea. Actually, I don't know how long that movie was. I want to say it was like 3 hours long, though, right? Three and a half. Like, it was stupid long. Maybe it was just 2.5 hours long, and I'm just misremembering things because I'm an idiot. But that's pretty much going to be my review of the Batman. I love this film through and through. There's nothing I don't love about it, and you know, I may start doing more of these because, like, I can't always just get myself to review a horror film. Maybe sometimes it would be better for me to make videos about movies that aren't horror films. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'm going to turn this into a non-horror channel. I'm just saying that I think I might splash a little bit of, like, regular people movies in there with the horror movies that I talk about. But horror will be primarily what I talk about. Still. So, anyway, with all of that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Seriously, if you stuck around till the end of the video, you are a beautiful son of a bitch. And I wanna stroke your face essentially with my phalanges, but I won't do that because last time I did, I caught charges. I'm Batman. I'm gonna edit out all that awkward shit. Alright. I'll see you boys and girls on the next one. I just realized that I didn't even include a rating in there at the end of the video, so I'm back to give you a rating. It's a 10. Big surprise, right? I feel like you probably deduced that by now. You don't really have to be the world's greatest detective to figure it out, but 10 out of 10, The Batman. Watch it if you haven't. Catch you guys later.